We'll now open up the May 20th License Commission meeting. First order is approval of the minutes of April 2nd, April 22nd, and May 4th. Is there a motion on the table to approve?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Item number one is Black Marble Motorcycles LLC doing business as Boston Harley Davidson. Moving right along. Item number two is Orange Grove Market. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Joseph Catogio, 1 Sprague Street, Revere, representing Orange Grove Market of Shirley Ave, Revere. This is a transfer of an existing license. There was recently a transfer or a buyout in ownership. Orange Grove Incorporated has been doing business at 158 Shirley Ave for a good number of years, 10, 12 years. They've been there for a good time, have a very nice established business, family market in the area. It had been owned by two sisters, Hong and Hannah. They held the license under their names individually, the license that we're requesting transferred. Recently, and as shown in the application, Hannah had bought her sister out of the business, has taken over sole ownership, and is looking to transfer the license under the corporate name. We filled out the information required. We do understand that a couple of items were passed in late, so we would understand whatever conditions the commission would request on that. And we are in the process of securing a certificate of good standing from the Department of Revenue, which I had originally mistakenly gotten from the Secretary of State's office. So I went with my real estate background instead of my license background, but we are correcting that. But again, it's a straightforward transfer. Hannah has always been one of the managers there. She's now the sole manager there. She is on site at all times during business hours, has very good control. I don't believe there's any issues with the location, and would request transfer. And again, whatever conditions, given that the status of the application, we would gladly accept.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the commission?
No, I guess everything is the same, the hours, everything is going to stay the
Yes.
same, it's just a,
Just one sister bought the other out, and because of the taking her name off the license, they thought it best to put it under the corporate name, which is exactly what's happening. But everything has been in existence, everything is staying the same, they're not adding anything, expanding hours, location, anything like that.
okay, it is a well-run business.
Yes.
I've gone there many times, and to my knowledge, we've never had a problem down there.
I don't believe so.
Okay, I have no other questions.
I have no question. Are there any opponents that want to speak on behalf of this establishment? Hearing and seeing none. Are there any proponents? Hearing and seeing none. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great, we're all set, thank you. Item number three, Wade Lee doing business as Revere Auto Gallery. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Whaley,
Speak up a little bit.
Whaley, 616 Broadway, Malden, Mass. 02148.
Great. And this, you're making an application of, for a renewal, a late renewal, is that correct?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. And can you tell us where you stand in terms of dealing with Lieutenant Goodwin?
Well, all the checks are with Lieutenant Goodwin. There's one last check that I have here that I brought with me. The last customer, we haven't figured out if he has a lien holder on the loan or not. If he does, the check has to go pay to the lien holder. If not, they can pay directly to him. That's the only thing.
Right.
But everything else, the check is with Lieutenant Goodwin.
Okay, great.
I just have a couple of questions. The checks have been given to the, so have the people that have had the problem with them received any monies as of today?
Some of them already got the money, some of them are, all the checks are pending on today's transaction pass over the transfer and they.
Well, why should we be waiting on them? I don't understand. I thought we had an agreement that the checks were going to go out. At the last meeting, we had 30 days, and I guess my other question is, too, what form of checks are these? Are these money orders? Are they
Nope, those are
personal?
my checks,
They're your checks?
are my checks.
Oh.
You can run a balance on the account right now, it has more than adequate to take care of the balance.
Yeah.
I've never bounced a check in my entire life.
I guess I'm just confused. I just thought at the last meeting that when we came back here today, these people were all going to be satisfied, other than there were two that maybe were a little bit of a problem on their part. So I'm just surprised that the checks haven't gone out.
That's talking, I'm not communicating properly, I guess.
Can you speak up onto, please state your name for the,
John Goodwin, 400 Revere Beach Parkway. I hope I presented it right, but I was taking everything in escrow, and I haven't. There was 3 people that we were still negotiating with, and we have one, and we have another person who kind of communicated with us after the meeting, which we've, made attempts to resolve, and I believe I have no problems that this is going to happen. I've been dealing with him for a long time, and, he's been nothing but credible.
I don't know, I'm just, I guess whether I misunderstood or the way it was put before me, I just really felt you were going to pay them when you left here last meeting. And then we put you on the agenda for renewal,
Yeah,
once that was done.
The issue is more, and I don't want to speak for the district attorney's office, but the liabilities as far as the district attorney's office it's more on Alvin Carter than it is on Ray Lee. So he really doesn't even have to do this. It's a good business decision, I think, on his part, but from a criminal investigation, even the people that he's negotiated these with, some of them are still going after Alvin Carter. We were in court just last week with him. So I don't know if that's clear.
No, I understand what you're saying.
The liabilities are not
But-
really,
Right, and I do understand that, but right now we're talking about the holder of the license. He holds the license. It happened underneath his supposedly watch. I don't know how it could have gotten that bad, but, geez, honestly, I thought this was going to be settled when I came here today. I was really looking forward to that. And I have spoke with a couple of people about Mr. Lee that I didn't even know him, and you're right, he seems like a great guy, and he's always done the right thing. I think he made a bad choice in the management he picked for this location. And I was very happy to hear people spoke very highly of him, and he is a man of his word. I guess I probably, maybe I should have been stronger at the last meeting and said, don't come back till the checks are in their hands and they're satisfied. Because we know if we transfer this license, we know we have no recourse to go back to Mr. Lee, and he can just take those checks and, hope Mr. Carter falls back and finds them, which we won't even go there with Mr. Carter. I don't think anyone's going to see any monies from him.
I would agree with that.
Absolutely,
If they do, it would be over a lengthy period of time.
right.
If you can find any comfort in this commission, I have possession of these checks that are made out already to the people that we negotiated this with. I personally have.
Yes, you showed me them, and I understand that, and I do believe you. I really do, but I don't know. I'm totally confused on this today. I just came in with a different mindset today. You what?
Well, so how many total claimants were there from the beginning?
I would say probably in the area of 30.
Okay, so 30. So how many have been remedied? reimbursed, or whatever you want to call it.
all but, we have agreements with two, there's three, we have agreements with two. We just had another one come in that we were unaware of, and I think that was in discussion with,
So, is that 27 were
yeah,
rectified?
and two out of the three that are left over, we've made arrangements.
So 27 got their checks or?
Yes, well, we have checks all made out, and out of the 27, what, about 6 or 7 have gotten payment?
Okay. And just curious, why are we having them distribute?
Because they were, the people that have been paid were on the beginning of it, and we didn't realize how significant this was. So they got paid months and months and months ago.
Sure.
And then as this unraveled, there was more victims, as Lieutenant Ramsey testified to, because they walked into, he had put up a sign at the facility saying, to see us,
Sure.
so.
And these are going to be, so these are going to be paid out in the next 30 days?
Yeah.
Or is there a time? Do we want to set a time? I mean, do you have a time? I mean,
No, I think it's kind of late if we transfer it today. That was my problem with both on the agenda.
Tomorrow, we'll have a meeting and just go over it one last time.
What is the order of magnitude we're talking about funds that need to be reimbursed?
I'd say probably in the area of $30,000.
Oh, that much?
That's not a count what he's already paid.
No, I recognize that.
Yeah.
I mean, what assurances, though, do we have that these people are going to get their money?
The money's in my possession. That's all.
The checks are in your possession.
Checks are in my possession. That would open up a huge criminal case, if that, you know what I mean? And he would actually become a defendant, so I can't see that. Because the checks,
Yeah, and the fact that, there's 27 other people that have received their refund.
27 haven't received their refund. 27 have? They have not?
No,
No.
no, there's probably about 20 that have.
Okay.
20 that have,
Yeah.
7 then, okay.
30, I mean,
So when you say 30,000, it's 30,000 divided by 7?
yeah, just what's in here, not what's already been paid out.
Right. And what, any idea what you've paid to date? What you've paid to date? Do you have any idea what? Yeah,
I'm thinking right about 37,000.
so you've paid 37, you got about 30 to go?
Well, checks are already good now, just a matter.
No, I recognize that, and
So I can exchange them for, certified check. I don't know.
and I understand their reservations, but I also sit there and I view it as, you didn't really have to step up and pay everyone, and those victims could have dealt with having to go to court and deal with Alvin Carter. So,
If these checks, I certainly understand your concerns. If these checks ever came back, I'd be putting them in handcuffs, to be perfectly blunt. You know what I mean? That's, that in and of itself is a crime. You know what I mean? He's issuing checks with no funds. And I think I could even make an argument that it's lost, I could charge him with a crime. Because we've negotiated for so long, it could be a larceny by stealing, or, anything. I don't see that happening.
So you've settled on the number for the majority of them. So technically you can call and say, we'll be at the Revere City Hall tomorrow, come get your check. Is that what so how do you plan on getting the check? Handed, mail,
Mail.
certified mail?
They can come pick up.
And I've been on the phone with them,
Okay.
I've talked to these people.
So these happened after the last meeting, the majority of them?
No, just one.
So why weren't the checks sent for the last meeting? I didn't get an answer.
Well, because he's waiting for the transfer of license so we can operate again. It's
Oh, okay,
he's
okay,
not-
it comes back to that.
He's really not,
Gotcha.
he's not the guy that has the most liability here, which would be Alvin Carter. So this is.
So I understand all that, that's all.
I kind of orchestrated this to get these people labeled.
No, and I think he understands, when you're at the top, you're at the mercy of what your weakest links do, so.
well, I mean, I also understand that that, you know, although it's his responsibility because he's the license holder, you know, he didn't commit the crime, and in the police department, you know, had he been culpable, he would have been under arrest by now. So,
What's funny?
If I could describe some of the acts quickly, like some of the things that Mr. Carter was doing was taking money from excise taxes.
Yeah.
Sales tax, and registration fees.
Title fees, yes.
They're not doing it, they're just not paying.
I-
Warranty, you know, so a lot of these people, when they wanted their warranty, and they made arrangements to get the warranties. Well, you know, what Carter was doing was just,
you know, and I understand that, you know, he wants assurances that he can get his license transfer, and he's willing to step up and pay, you know, make restitution to those people. So, you know, so there's a little bit of it's not the best scenario that could produce the best outcome. I mean, you know, had they been money orders, I probably would have been, you know, more comfortable with it. I'm not saying that I'm not against approving it today. I think I am, because I think he's demonstrated that he's willing to, and the fact that you're here and that you've dealt with him as much as you have, and I'm really going more on your word than I am anybody else's here. So I mean, I'm in support of it. I mean, like I said, it's not the best scenario, and my colleagues may think differently, and that's perfectly fine. I think the fact that you know, you're in support of it, Lieutenant Goodwin, is good for me.
I have one more question for Mr. Lee. Did Mr. Carter work for your other Class 2 license in Malden? Was he working there also?
No.
He wasn't. Did he work at any of your other facilities?
He worked in a Wakefield store, which I'm an investor, about 2.5 years ago for a couple of months. That's how I got to know him. I don't really know him. He was referred to me from the owner of the Wakefield store and said, hey, I have someone who wants to take over your store so you can retire. And that's how he struck this deal.
Okay, so you weren't partners with him at any time? He was always an employee? So then after that 2.5 years, then he came to Revere. Were there any problems in Wakefield when he worked there that you knew
Not
of?
that I know of.
No.
But he was only there for 2 months as an employee, as a sales manager.
Okay. I do agree with Commissioner Quarantello that, yeah, this is unfortunate for everybody, and I think the concern, at least mine, and I believe my colleagues, is that the concern is these people are taken care of. You do have the license, you do have something to lose. You have the license to lose if we don't make amends. And from what I understand, you have a wonderful reputation in the business. I've just come to find that out through several people I've talked to. So that, to me, I'm weighing on that very heavily as to what I've heard about you, and that you will take care of this. I'm just very, you know, you have to understand, I just feel like after today, you really have no responsibility. Should we renew your license and then transfer it, you are out of this completely. You really don't have to do anything if you don't have the license anymore. So that's my concern. So I guess I'm down to, I have to take your word for it. And I know Lieutenant Goodwin's got the checks. I don't think he's going to give them back to you. So, no, I would hope not.
I have more checks given to him. Don't worry.
and if it, you know, if you can find any comfort, I'd be willing to report immediately back to you with the permission in writing.
Right. I don't think you have to do that. I mean, I take your word for it. I mean, again, this whole thing is just about doing the right thing for the city of Revere. That's all it comes down to. And people's words, I honestly would never question what you're going to do with those checks. Would have been much more comfortable. You came here and said, look, they all got it. We have a couple that, you know, sometimes you just can't. Right, and I understand that. That does happen. But again, I I will say I've come to know Mr. Lee through other people, and I do take his word that he's trying to do the right thing.
Thank you.
And I
So-
think he's demonstrated that as well, I mean, so far. So I would, like I said, based on Lieutenant Goodwin's, reputation, that I would hope that he would step up and wrap it up.
Well, I think after this, should everything go well today after this, it's all on Lieutenant Goodwin now. I think you're the last man standing, to tell you the truth. So, I have no other questions.
And the only thing I can say, what hasn't been said is, if you go ahead and move the transfer, you gave your word that you're gonna pay everyone back. If for some reason, something comes up in the meantime, I believe you're still gonna own the land, correct? You still own the property, correct?
I still,
So, I'm assuming everything's gonna go through the process, they'll get their money back, and there might be one or two that, so in the event that doesn't happen, and the transfer goes through, we will watch over with a fine tooth and comb that establishment.
absolutely,
So,
understood,
I think it's in everyone's best interest that
absolutely.
we,
I'm okay.
do the right thing, and I think you will. So I'm good.
All right. Any other questions? Any proponents that want to speak on behalf of this establishment? Hearing and seeing none, are there any opponents? Proponents, please. Sorry.
Obviously, I'm a proponent of Lieutenant Goodwin. If his word is in this, I'd put my life in his hands, so I think we're good.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Anthony Zambuto, 87 High Street.
Thank you. Okay. Any other proponents? Hearing and seeing none, are there any opponents? Hearing and seeing none. I'll make the testimony. I'm going to make the motion to approve the renewal of the license. Is there a second to that?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, Santa Motors, Inc. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Claudio Pontes, 252 Kennedy Drive, apartment 813 in Malden.
Fernanda Libares, 167 Kennedy Drive, apartment 602, Malden.
Great. So you're making an application for a transfer of a Class 2 license, motor vehicle dealer's license. From Wadley, doing business as Revere Auto Gallery, is that correct? Okay. Can you give us a little bit of a history of your experience in this business? As you can well imagine, we don't want to be in a situation where we're revisiting something like this. So if you could give us a little background on what your experience is and what your plans are at this location.
I've been in business for almost 12 years. I had work at Somerville, which I worked for 7 years, and after the 7 years, I become partner with the guy that used to own that. After that, I worked in a store in Malden. We started a partnership in Chelsea, but now I'm just gonna go to Revere Place with him. Well, it's...
I've been in the car business for about 3 years or so, in between doing auctions, purchasing cars, obviously doing the whole process in between. We currently have a family-owned business in Chelsea, which is where she mentioned she works now. She currently has a partnership with my sister, and my sister will take over that business, and we will both move on to the Revere location. And we'll be mainly able to use secondhand car dealers, let's say 2008, 2015, and then we'll have to work with the market a little bit and see what the location will ask us. So at first, we'll have a little bit of a mix and then slowly start adjusting to the needs of that specific location.
So what type of business arrangements do you have in terms of dealing with warranties and repairs and things like that?
So in terms of repairs, we have a very good relationship with the Human Store in Somerville. We've dealt with them for the most part for a long time. In Chelsea, we also have a couple of locations there. Warranties, we have contracts with a couple.
Alpha, GWC. I work with these people for like the whole time that I'm working with cars. I believe on our application, you should have a letter from the general manager from Source One, which is the bank that we make deals from that time, 11 years. And the other company that they farm planning to us for 5 or 6 years. And repairs, we don't have our own shop, but we work with 2 or 3 mechanics for a long time, so. And good relationship with the warranty companies, too, extended warranty companies.
So are you under a contractual agreement with any of these companies? In terms of, do you have any written contracts with any of these firms that you do business with?
So currently, we have a deal with one of them, which is from the Human Store, like I mentioned. It's also on the application.
We are the same thing.
We are all the same, yes, in Somerville. And they, yes, and as of right now, actually, they're thinking of moving locations, so I haven't actually changed anything on the application, but in the future, it's one of the mechanics that we have really good relationships, and obviously wholesale prices, and what we work out, good deals with them, and they've always been trustable. And you know, when you're in this business, finding a good mechanic is actually not necessarily an easy thing to do, so you can just stick with the ones you trust.
Mhm.
Didn't find a new bond.
Do I have one?
Oh, I said, do
Oh.
you see one there?
I have not. Have you secured a security bond yet?
Yes,
You have?
all the paperwork, it's in there for the bond.
Do we have a copy of that?
Sorry.
Oh, okay, I have the expired one.
And then which was filed for about 2 years.
Oh, 1 year.
It's 3 years, sorry, this one.
This is 3 years?
3 years.
Okay.
Who's gonna be the owner of, who's the owner? You or you?
Both are.
You are co-owners? 663. You have any bankruptcy in the past, no liens, current?
How about any complaints with Attorney General's office, Better Business Bureau, anything like that?
Never.
So tell us what your plans are in terms of the lot itself. What are you planning to do in terms of making this ready to sell vehicles? Right, I know in the past that the property wasn't lined properly. We asked them to do that. They didn't do it.
June last meeting, I think you mentioned that you wanted to address that issue with Alvin Carter and tape desert ground.
That's
So,
right.
when I actually started, I removed all the tapes, and then as soon as we moved in, one of the requirements was that we paint it. So, it's one of the things that we'll be doing as we move forward. Aside from that, I think the city takes very good care of these properties, the infrastructure inside, toilets, office rooms, the outside is all very well paved. And it doesn't seem like we need a lot of infrastructure work from the property inside. We also had the fire inspection coming the other day, just a little bit before the end of last year. They had all the extinguishers and everything, so it's 70, so we're in good shape.
Are there any outstanding approvals by any of the inspectional services at this point?
It shouldn't be a problem. I personally actually didn't know that that was one of the requirements before it is, so.
They haven't really been on the premises, it's been closed, so I can understand how it went in there. It's always been a very well-maintained lot, you know, we've always, but the only problems we had, with, Mr. Howard, is that he had the cars all over the street, you know, you can't use that. That
Yeah.
is residential, highly residential. How many spots do we have for customers?
Customers,
One, two, three spots
Three.
altogether.
We have 3
I just
spots.
put
Yes,
no
okay.
plot plan, but that was mainly of, I measured
Oh, it says-
side
says
and
total
then
to
an
me.
idea of how many cars it fit.
Oh,
Last
that's
I spoke to him yesterday, I think the last number was 25, and then I measured more or less, so we should fit about three parking spots.
for customers.
So what are we talking, 22 spots, is that? I mean, I think that was the agreement that that was the agreement that we changed from 25 because there was an issue with the parking, so we're down to 22. And we're going to have 3 spots on site. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things what I don't want to have is, I don't want to have a repeat of neighbors calling because they're upset because there's no place to park, or, you know, there's all kinds of, you know, activity going on after hours. I mean, you know, we expect you to stick to those hours. I think you've agreed to
9 to 7,
And then Saturday,
9 to 5, and Sunday's closed. Okay. Okay.
There is a pass-through excise tax, is that? No, exactly, it's Mr. Lee's, right? Someone's gonna pay it.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
Well, I guess they've learned from being here for the last 3 months what we expect. So I have no other questions, other than I hope you continue the business as Mr. Lee had it before he took on a new employee.
it's been a good lesson. I mean, we've been working together with Lieutenant Henry to try and fix all the problems, so we stepped in to also try and figure this out and help everyone, so I think that's a lesson definitely learned.
Okay, I have no other questions.
You good?
Yeah.
Are there any proponents that want to speak on behalf of this establishment? Hearing and seeing none, are there any opponents? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion on the table?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
I'm good.
Item number 5 is Select Transportation, Inc., 60 VFW Parkway. This is a hearing into violations of and conditions of an existing parking lot license, city zoning ordinances, and Mass General Law, Chapter 148, 56, through use of an unlicensed lot to park cars for airport valet parking. Could you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. James Cipolletta, 385 Broadway, Revere, on behalf of Select Transportation. With me is the president and principal of the corporation, Jim Marcotte.
Great, and so at our last meeting, we spoke specifically about the operations at VFW Parkway and some of the overflow issues that were associated with that. And that, at that time, I think it was Commissioner Guinarso that had asked about how they handled operations and if there were any other lots that they operated. And at that point in time, I believe the answer was no. And then later on, we find out that there is an operation at NECO that somewhere in the vicinity of 500 vehicles. And we had you come here before this commission to answer that inquiry.
From what I've been able to ascertain is that we were up here at the end of April, and I think maybe 2 days later, or 3 days, the police went down to the NECO lot and took an inventory, took photographs. When we were here before the commission, Mr. Marcotte was questioned as to what he do with the overflow. He said, well, some of our neighbors are kind enough to let us use some of the lots. And the neighboring lots would have been the laundromat, NECO, some others that allowed a lot of those businesses in the area. And I think, not having seen the police report, I'm confident that not all of those vehicles that were on the NECO property on that Saturday were Selects. But in any event, it was 3 days later, I think that was the school vacation week, and Mr. Marcotte got notice that the police had gone down to NECO and that some of his cars were still down there. And so he went down and he made observations of what the cars were. There apparently were cars from Enterprise, Comfort Inn, people who were using that registry, that shopping area and business area where the registry of motor vehicles was, and there was one more establishment that had moved cars down there. So in talking to Mr. Marcotte about that, he was under the good faith belief that NECO, just as Wonderland, because he had been parking or storing cars at Wonderland, was an appropriate place to sublease, and that they had license because they had a parking area. I told him that's not true. As far as I knew, Wonderland was the only major parking lot that had permission from the License Commission, because they had applied for the license, they paid the fee, and they are operating under the auspices of the city. So I contacted the management at NECO, and apparently there's sort of a free-for-all down in that area, and everybody's been using the NECO parking lot. Cutting to the bottom line, what I am going to do with NECO is to have them complete an application for consideration by this commission to operate a automobile storage facility. They're zoned for it. They're zoned TED, the same as Bell Circle, Wonderland, and that strip. So that would be up to the commission whether or not to approve that license and whether or not they meet the criteria and the elements preceding to the issuance of the license. In the interim, all of the cars have been pulled out. We have pictures of what the lot looks like after the police visit, a copy of what it looks like today, and a copy of what the public way was of particular concern to Mr. Marcotte looked like on the day that, on that Saturday. So let me pass these up. That's what it looks like today. That's what it looked like on that Saturday. This is what it looks like after the police visit. And these two represent what it looks like today.
So these look like they were, the first couple of pictures look like they were out in the street.
They're indeed out in the street, but they weren't our cars. They're not our cars. We know whose they are.
I don't think I'm questioning the fact that there were overflow cars out on the street. My understanding was, based on, I believe it was Lieutenant Goodwin who went out and reported back that there were a number of cars there, and that he had spoken with NECO, and in fact that there was an agreement between NECO and Select Cars.
That's correct. And that was true.
So what, I mean, it's sort of disingenuous to say that he, you know, that he wasn't parking vehicles. I mean, to me, this is more than just overflow. I mean, this is conducting business in a on a much larger scale, in a much larger area, and really not being forthcoming in the sense that, you know, we specifically asked them about those questions, and then we find out that they're in fact doing a lot more business. So, I mean, can you explain that?
Well, I think he answered the question to the best of his ability, thinking that the question was aimed at what other places in the area are accommodating you. And just as when he parks down at Wonderland, that's licensed. He thought NECO was licensed as well. So he didn't say, I park at Wonderland as well, and I have an agreement with the people at Wonderland, I have an agreement with the people at NECO. I think in the context of the question, his answer was directed to, right in the immediate area, what do you do with overflow? So when people come and you have people backed up on that highway or around the circle, what do you do with those cars? And I think he answered Commissioner Gunasso's question as, well, we put them over in that strip. We have the appliance store, we have the laundry people, and I think that's either misunderstood the question or was directing his question to unlicensed, or what he thought were unlicensed areas, knowing that Wonderland is licensed and thinking that NECO was licensed as well. So he didn't feel it was necessary to include those. And like, as I say, NECO is a prime spot out of the way, and they're taking advantage of it anyway. I mean, like I said, most of those.
I'm not opposed,
Right.
Counsel, I'm not opposed to, you know, NECO or any other company doing business in an approved area. That's not my, don't misunderstand me, that's not what I'm saying. What my concern is one of these establishments is storing cars, and the city isn't getting any money for it.
Indeed.
And that's my concern, but my bigger concern today is that we have the conversation about overflow, and then, to me, this is a much larger scale than 5 or 6 cars that were in an overflow situation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is actually storage, not overflow, which Frank Stringy tells me is a little different.
I just want to clear up one thing before we go any further. I was the one that brought this up. I did. That was because I don't know if they left a letter or just verbally have been coming to the office saying that we gave a license and Mr. Marquardt has 500 other cars in another lot. And that's someone who has come up to License Commission saying that, and that's why I addressed it. When I asked that question, I thought that would be cleared up.
Okay.
And it wasn't. He was talking about his overflow going through beach seals, you know, down the
Right.
side there parking. And I was corrected. You asked that question, and I told you he has 500 more cars. So therefore, I you know, it didn't look like I did my job. I took his word for it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was talking about storage cars, or we're talking about two different things. Was anything put in writing when that complaint was brought to us? No, he didn't put it in writing.
Okay.
But there was someone that did complain about it, and that's why I addressed it that night. Had you said you had those, we would have been clear. Okay, we'll check it. So now, again, we're hearing, no, you didn't correct, he's parking 500 cars. So, no, I just want to bring that to that point. I don't want to, that's why,
I'm sorry, my name is Jim Marcotte, I'm 60 VFW Parkway. There's only 240 spots at NECO that can be used. So there's nowhere near 500 unless you include all of their employee parking, which I think is probably 100 to 150 employee parking spots that are to the left when you pull into NECO.
right.
I had a concern during the snowfall over the course of the winter that everybody was parking in that lot. I mean, every neighbor was using spots. People that lived in the neighborhood were parking down there and walking to their house. It was very chaotic.
Well, honestly, I have no concern about that. That doesn't, again, like Commissioner Quarantello said, it's more about if you're parking cars, you've got to pay a fee for that, as,
No, no,
you know,
and I
your
understand
council knows,
that.
Wonderland has paid many years, and I don't know how many cars. That was the figure that was given to the License Commission. So whoever cars they are, I don't know. I'm just concerned with what you're parking there.
I understand
And
that.
should you get a license from us, there is a fee. That's all I'm concerned with.
I understand that. And what happened was, I've had concerns over the past few months that I've actually taken pictures, I have pictures myself, and I took pictures of other people's tags that are in the windows, that they're parking all over the place. So when I went down on Monday morning, after NECO called me and said the police were down here looking at the lot, and he told me, I told him they were your cars. I said, well, did you also tell him that everybody else is parking there? He goes, no, I didn't. So what I did is I went to Comfort Inn, I went to the registry on Monday, I went to Enterprise, and I went to the body shop, and told them all, if the cars are there at the end of the week, they're being towed. It went from a lot that was full to the pictures that we have now, that are under 60 cars parked there of mine. And out of the 60 spots that we have, there's still 13 or 14 as of today, they're not my vehicles. And I don't know whose they are, because when I run the registrations through a friend at the registry, they look at it and they can't give me any information, but they're telling me that it's not Enterprise and it's not us. They're individuals' cars. So I don't know who else is parking down there.
Yeah, but that, again, if NECO's employees are parking there, that's their business, that's not.
understand that.
We're only concerned with your business, how many you have there. If you say you only have 200, then you should have a lined-off area that's what
Well,
you're
that's one of the
paying
pictures-
for.
That's one of the pictures that I gave you. If you look
Right.
at one of the pictures down the bottom, you'll see that the spots are numbered 1 through 100. From 78 forward are empty. So right now, the spots that we thought we were using were, I thought, licensed spots from NECO, because when I came in to park vehicles there were people parking prior to when I went down there. So that was a bad assumption on my part that I thought they had a license, similar to when we park cars at Wonderland, and that's why I didn't include NECO in our conversation a few weeks ago, but I also did not include Wonderland, because I assumed they had licenses, so I was bringing up cars that we were parking in areas that I knew did not have a license.
Okay, well, we'll
So
just,
that was the confusion there.
okay, so we've cleared that up.
And as
I'm
far as
concerned-
NECO's concerned, they were under the misapprehension that since it wasn't open to the public, that they didn't need a license, since it was a private contract. And I directed them to the city ordinance, so they'll be making a visit in the next couple of weeks.
That's fine, that's all. But, you have to realize someone comes up and says, there's a lot going on, and now we have other lots that are paying,
I remember that bumpy ride with Wonderland.
Yes, I did want to get into
I
that,
remember that, yes,
but it worked out.
it did.
Do you want to speak? Please state your name for the record, please.
Anthony Zambuto, 87 High Street, Revere City Council at large. I was only here for the history of all of this because I was one of the people who put in this accessory use to rental cars because we were receiving a lot of money from Thrifty at the time to park, for our surcharge that paid out police bond or a police mortgage on the police station, et cetera, et cetera. And we stretched to make what's called an accessory use to park and fly. And it's used at hotels and it's used at, and I think in defense of Mr. Marcotte, because I helped him when he came here, I kind of guided him on this. In defense of his NECO situation is, there were others that were parking by lease at NETCO, and it was easy to assume they had a license. And shame on me for not thinking they did.
I'm not opposed to the use, and.
Yeah, no,
clearly-
you're just-
yeah,
I-
Clearly, it's.
I
zoned
understand, and I'm on your side, obviously. I want anybody that's using a use, that's parking cars, to pay the city a fee, because we know what that's all about. But the reason I came here is because I wanted to kind of give the history that I understood when he told me that he assumed, as I assumed, NETCO had a license, because they had Comfort Inn as a client, they had other clients before him, before he purchased that property for Select. So I understand the misunderstanding, and as Attorney Cipolletta said, he's going to get NETCO to become legal with this, and we're all going to be happy. That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any other, anyone else want to speak on this matter? Hearing and seeing none, I guess we'll wait on what NECO does, and at this point in time, I don't see any reason to carry this over to another meeting unless NECO decides not to purchase, to apply for a license.
Yeah, I just, this was, to me, was just a clarification meeting, just to clear things up, and, we get complaints, we do have to listen, and unfortunately, when they said 500, the police went down, there were 500 cars, so, excluding, along with yours, I'm not saying they were yours. So I'm happy, I'm just glad we cleared it up, and we can move forward from there, whatever you're going to do. If you're going to try to get a contract with NECO, then you can apply for license.
Great, thank you. Communication, notice of suspension from Massachusetts.
So-
Yes? What?
Yes.
Harley Davidson is here. Oh, okay.
Again, I think, did we
Yeah, I
didn't
think,
close the meeting?
yeah, no, I did. I
think
think that there isn't any need to carry this over, and that we'll look to NECO to apply for a license, and we'll just monitor NECO to make sure that they're operating.
So once they apply for a
Legally.
license, then they can start charging, the city gets a fee per spot.
That's right,
Right now,
from NECO.
Right now, we're not getting any,
That's right,
Okay.
that's right.
gotcha.
Sorry?
Get it from Marquardt.
Yeah, but NECO is going to be the license holder. Oh, yes, yes. That's correct. Thank you.
Okay. This again, I find that these are two different applicants for malt and wine, which is Tepesa, okay?
I'm sorry.
And
what's
then
your
you
question?
have, and then we have it from Perry for the entertainment. Oh, he's got a one day, and where is the entertainment?
Okay, Item number 1 is Black Marble Motorcycles LLC, doing business as Boston Harley Davidson. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
William Perry, 122 Harrison Ave, Woburn, Mass.
Great. And can you tell us exactly, so you're making an application for 4 one-day licenses for beer and wine, is that correct? Okay, and so can you explain what you're planning to do there?
We're
Is it
going to
what-
have a bike night, one per month, June 25th, July 23rd, August 20th, September 17th. It's going to run from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Our dealership will be closed normal hours at 7 p.m. So it's just going to be basically a storefront right out front. We'll have different raffles and prizes and free giveaways for people that come down and enjoy. We'll have music playing, not a live band, just music playing. Different games, we'll have some food vendors in there, and we're going to have Peter DePisa taking care of our bar.
Okay. And so have you applied for an entertainment license?
We did for the grand opening, because we were having entertainment. We had 2 acts, a stunt show and aerial just entertainment.
Okay, so you're going to need to apply for an entertainment license if you're bringing in a DJ,
Or
So-
just music?
for music,
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So you'll have to make an application for that.
I don't know if I'm gonna have time for the next meeting.
When is the next one?
The first one is June 25th. When will be our next meeting?
Okay,
I have no problem ending it today.
okay.
Do you want to amend the?
I'm fine with it. You mean, make it contingent
amend it
upon?
To make it entertaining also.
Oh, okay.
Where it's just
Gotcha,
live
gotcha.
music, it's not a live band or anything. We can take that up again. I think my only question is, why does Mr. DePisa apply for a beer and wine? And why not yourself? Because it seems like you're applying for one and he's applying for the other.
I'm not really too sure how to answer that.
I think it's just easier if you did it yourself. Beer and wine, entertainment, and what was the other thing?
We just wanted to reach out and cross-promote with him. Our issue with the grand opening, our owners from Seacoast have been very hesitant in the past with the way they run their 2 dealerships in Rochester and Seacoast with alcohol at events. Boston, where we're kind of a different demographic, we've always had success with bike nights where we have, beers. We don't do alcohol or wine. Those are private events that we have. It's taken liability off of the owners, which was key to them allowing us to do these going forward. So that therefore, all liability is on Peter. And just cross-promoting and working with our neighbors and stuff like that. And it's also easier because right now where we stand, we have minimal staff. So to have our staff be pulled from the motor clothes department or parts or sales, where, and on nights like that, we need our full staff.
Okay. No, I understand that. I mean, I have no problem with the beer license and beer and wine. I'm just wondering why Mr. DePisa doesn't come up if he's applying for the beer and wine. So this is separate. You're applying for entertainment, he's applying for beer and wine. Am I right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we should,
He's- No, I think we were going for the alcohol permit, so if he's in charge of that would be something going forward, just so I know too, that's something that he should be here present for.
So you're, well, no, it sounds like to me that you're applying for the beer license, malt liquor license, and you're contracting with him to serve. Is that right?
Yeah. Because we've paid for the permits and we've come down here and done the permits and
Because it's your event, it's not his
it's our
event.
event, correct?
That's right.
Peter, so.
no,
couple things
it's not
about
Peter.
here.
Billy.
So listen, I'm sorry, Bill. It says 2,200 expected attendees? Is that?
we just honestly throw a number, we never ever know. If the weather's horrible, we could get, 20 guys to show up. If the weather's beautiful, bike nights have never been anywhere near the grand opening. That's probably the biggest event that we will have going forward.
So there's no detail going to be,
No, I talked to Captain Guido, and he said, he has faith in us, and he said, why don't we go ahead and have this first bike night without a detail, and then, we can deal with that issue later if we needed it. In Everett, we've had them. Some nights we haven't had them. We've never had any issues because we kind of have a different crowd that comes. It's not what you would expect from a bike night.
how are you advertising for this?
Social media, e-blasts, our website, Harley Davidson, on harleydavidson.com, they have a calendar as well, so we put it up on there.
I will tell you, I had the opportunity to go down there this weekend, and I was pleasantly surprised at how well it was run. And the food and it just was a great day for the City Revere. I was, taken back. I mean, the bikes are beautiful. I did go on the back and see the stunts. But I'm a little concerned when we're saying beer. When I was there, the police officers were walking around, and, the visibility of them just being there sometimes helps out quite a bit. I think, concern of not having any police detail, I don't know how that's going to work out. I'd like to hear how,
Isn't it typically a detail of the Squire on Saturdays? I mean, across
Yeah,
the street.
the Squire has a detail on the weekends, but not till 10 o'clock, 10 p.m.
I mean, it was, I couldn't believe how well organized it was. I enjoyed the day. It was very nice.
That's good to hear.
So I have no problem with it going forward. I think the concern I'm about not having any detail.
I mean, you do have the theater, coming out.
How do you feel?
They're gonna be, curious what's going on. I can't imagine having more than, that few people.
Yeah,
So there is a
I
concern
mean,
there.
we always love to have a good turnout. A lot of our customers, any bike night that we've ever had, let's throw a random number. Let's say we've had 60 people attend, 60 to 80 people attend. You might have 20 of those people that actually want to have a beer. Most of them are just there for the free stuff, and to come in to see the new dealership for the first half hour till it closed at 7, and play the games and get involved. Each one is going to have a different theme, so it's going to be tailored towards a different type of group. Like one's a bike show, one's a tattoo contest, one is a rodeo contest. So it's going to, it's not always about the alcohol.
No, I have to say, that was probably the emptiest part of there was the garden room. There weren't many people in there,
I
and,
know, that's funny, we just had our meeting this morning and we were
Right.
joking about that, how
It was still
we
Sunday.
thought that would be the biggest hit, and it wasn't.
It was
actually-
not.
It was actually the moon bounce
right.
that was the biggest hit.
And
Funny.
a lot of families there. But I have to say, Sunday, you had to have 1,000 people go through there Sunday.
I had to.
Absolutely. And that's why I bring it back to Lieutenant Randall, how he feels about that, having no detail.
I mean, my personal opinion is, I'd like to see a detail, but the captain was at the event, and he ran the detail office for many years, so I could defer to him on that. He has more experience in that than I do, but
You know what's hard to say? I think it's hard to say that, yes, it did, to me, it was wonderful. But there was police presence, so did that help it
What
stay?
did you have for details on that day, do you know?
We had one officer,
Just one?
just one.
But-
In the beginning, I was concerned that we were gonna need another one because there were that many people, but. there
But did you have your
families and
security-
Children
Was your security working that day also?
at night,
Yes.
overnight, Friday night and Saturday night, because we didn't want to break up and
Right.
sit down every day, so that got worked out good. We had overnight security. armed officer, retired armed officer with his lights on in his truck patrol vehicle.
Right.
So the way I would go with this, if you could address it with the captain, if he's okay, if it is a little different event, it's gonna be at nighttime. The other one ended at 7, it was daylight. If he's okay, if you can send us an email, then I think,
Well, I think he's already stated that,
yeah, but the drill, it is a different event. I think he might have just, does he realize it's a little bit
Yeah,
different?
I haven't spoken to him at all about this. I could speak to him specifically on this event.
Because I don't think he will, you know, specifically, it is a little bit different. It's at night, you have the theater coming out, you got the Squire coming in, they're gonna stop in there. So, you didn't have that ever.
Yeah.
You really didn't. So I think, you know, if the police chief is okay with that,
I'll bring it up to the captain, to the chief,
then
and
I'm fine with it, because you guys.
see what they have to say.
I'm pretty
Okay.
confident it would go smooth, and I'm actually grateful for him to try that, to see if, you know, the first one's gonna be a trial. And if we ever had an issue, or if he felt that, you know, in matter of fact, I mean, if somebody wanted to make a run through, you know, any one of the guys working that night, if they ever wanted to make a run through and just kind of see what they think and see how, or if the captain wanted to come down, which I'm sure he's
Yeah.
probably going to, because this is a trial, so he wants to see how it's gonna go. But,
Oh, no, either way, you know, the shift would be made aware of the event going on, and there would be, you know, would be checking up on it either way.
and that's also a busy night for the Squire across the street, so you don't know, you may get some of them coming over, it may be bigger than you think.
yeah.
Just seeing it, just the visibility there. And hopefully you have a good night, you do get a good crowd,
Yeah, we always pray for a good turnout.
right?
This is Saturday night, these dates?
Thursday nights.
Thursday nights?
Yeah, yeah, not Saturday.
Interesting.
Thursday night
Okay.
from 6:30 to 9 PM.
So do you have that in the form of a motion?
I have a motion to approve these 4 separate licenses, 4 separate dates, licenses, contingent upon, like, we get confirmation from
Acceptance from the police department.
that they're comfortable with no detail.
And if the police department comes back and says that they want a detail, are you
Then we
amenable?
need a detail, that's them, yep.
Okay. Okay. So there's a motion on the table to approve the license contingent upon acceptance of the police department's recommendation. And if the police department recommends that a detail be at the event, that Boston Harley will approve that and have a detailed officer. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All set. Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you very much, thanks for coming down, too.
Good luck.
It was great.
Good
It was
feedback.
great.
Communication of suspension from Massachusetts Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, informing commission of a 5-day suspension of the license of David Lightbody doing business as the Boulevard Bar and Grill from Wednesday, June 17th, 2015 through Sunday, June 21st, 2015. Late license renewal for 2015, a common victuals license for Mary Dedrick, doing business as Heidi's Place, 864 Winthrop Avenue. Next meeting is June 24th.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion, is there a second to that motion?
Second motion.
All in favor, say aye.